Who is the greatest female movie TV villain of all time? It's got to be Maleficent animated version. She curses an innocent baby just to torture her parents for not inviting her to the christening. Is so effective she can only be outsmarted. And even then is always 2 steps ahead of everyone. The tale is genius. She kidnaps the prince and plans to keep him prisoner for 100 years before releasing him to wake Aura and torture them even more by her still being young and him being old. Then she goes fuck it and turns herself into a dragon. Most of the popular ones are already mentioned, so here are some others I'd know of. Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford in Mummy Dearest. Sarah Michelle Gellar as Catherine in Cruel Intentions, the Evil Queen in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Barbara Stanwyck as Phyllis Dietrichson in Double Indemnity. Betty Davis as Baby Jane Hudson in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and Ramsey as Mama Fratelli in The Goonies. Daryl Hannah as Elle Driver in Kill Bill. And Baxter as Eve Harrington in All About Eve. Inoshima Junko owned people in the world and brainwashed them, so when they went out of there they were a bunch of talented lunatics that practically destroyed the world and made the general public go crazy in despair. Nurse Ratch played brilliantly. You go through a complex array of emotions with her, from trust and appreciation, to sympathy, to suspicion, to frustration, to anger. She's subtle. At her core she is a thoroughly, undeniably evil woman, realistic and grounded, and can exist seamlessly in our own lives with no fantastical instruments of malice other than the power her profession affords and cunning. Xenia on a top, Wikipedia, is a fictional character and Bond girl in the James Bond film GoldenEye, played by actress Famke Janssen. She is a fighter pilot and assassin who crushes her enemies with her thighs to get sexual satisfaction, working for the renegade MI6 agent Alec Trevelyan Sean Bean. Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, first of her name. Queen of the Andals and the First Men. Protector of the Seven Kingdoms. Mother of Dragons. Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea. The Unburnt. Breaker of Chains. Princess of Dragonstone. Queen of Meereen. Lady of the Seven Kingdoms. For me, I have to harken back to my favorite Disney movie, Ursula from Little Mermaid. She was so fierce and confident and powerful. I love her, haha. When I was little, I told my grandma she looked like her 'cause they're both short and fat. Grandma didn't like that much, but I didn't mean any harm. Absolutely. Just finished the book, and I have to say she is by far the most villainous female I have ever come across. That book was hard to read at times, not because of the gore, but because of her psyche and how she handled Paul. It was very unsettling. Death from Midnight Mass. The kind of self-righteous, sanctimonious, passive-aggressive person who does the most heinous things by hiding behind the veil of religion. What truly made her scary was the power of her convictions as well as her competence. Shago, from Kim Possible. Smart cookie who rejects dumb cartoon villain memes. For the youngsters in the room, she's on the level of Scott to Dr. Evil. Why don't you just shoot him? Here, give me the gun. I'll do him for you right now. The Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton usually worked as a character actor. She told a hilarious story about how she got cast for the role. https www. Miss Trunchbull from Matilda. I watched a lot of scary movies as a kid because of my aunt and a lot since, and she still scares me more than any other character. I don't eat chocolate cake because of this woman. Amy from Gone Girl. The most relatable sociopaths are the most terrifying. The cool girl speech wins the viewer over in the first act. And then they hit us with the reveal. Absolutely phenomenal writing. This is extreme niche because the show is so unknown. If anyone has seen The Glorious Big Time in Hollywood, Florida, that is my answer, because the show is my favorite comedy series of all time. Max Bennett from Justify. I guess she was a villain. All that nuance makes her an even better character though. She definitely wasn't a mustache-twirling traditional antagonist though. Nurse Ratchet's spelling of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Controlling, petty, vindictive, power-hungry, and the battle of wits between her and McMurphy makes the entire movie. Nurse Ratch from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is the epitome of emasculating female villain who constrains her victims with banality and luxuriates in her modicum of power. Cersei Lannister Daenerys Targaryen Game of Thrones. Annie Wilkes Misery, Ursula, The Little Mermaid. Mother Gothel Tangled. Bellatrix Lestrange Harry Potter. Hela Thor Ragnarok. Legit claim to the throne, lived up to the hype of Goddess of Death, and Kate Blanchett just killing it. The swag, the drip ... all of it. Cruella de Vil, because she has the coolest car ever made in the original 101 Dalmatians animation, and her whole arrogant, pompous vibe is fantastic. Xenia on a top from the James Bond movie GoldenEye. There are many femme fatales throughout the Bond series, but she's the most memorable by far. OG Maleficent. Definitely. Now shall you deal with me, O Prince, and all the powers of AGL. Tough split between Zulema Zahir in Locked Up Wisa Weiss and Alicia Sierra in Money Heist La Casa de Papel because Niwa is just that great. Professor Dolores Umbridge. From the 5th Harry Potter book movie. I knew someone very similar to her in real life. Absolute nightmare. Nakima, a manipulative person in control that things are in justify means. Sadly, a lot of people like her for another reason. Victoria. Twilight Zone. She ended up getting all her turned vampires killed over James. No one got to live. Not even her. Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones because ruling the Seven Kingdoms is just another day at the office for her. That Ice Witch lady from Narnia. I remember thinking that was the most evil woman I had ever seen when I was kid. I've always been a fan of the super petty original Maleficent. Love in Blade Runner 2049 is really good too. Misty played by Christina Ricci in the TV series Yellow Jackets. She plays a witty psychopathic killer. Lucille Bluth. Not exactly a villain, but she definitely has villainous qualities. God, I love that woman. After watching the new Planet of the Apes trilogy for the first time last week, Koba blew me the fuck away. Miranda Priestley from Devil Wears Prada. She isn't evil, but she is so insanely unlikable as a person. The Warden from Holes. That book brings back lots of memories. My class read that book in 8th grade. Aunt Lydia or Serena Waterford. And whilst not the worst, shout out to Amanda from Melrose Place. Morgana from Merlin. Started out as one of the good guys but turned into a dangerous, evil witch. Mary Hatch Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. She keeps George from being able to see the world. The original Catwoman. Maybe Michelle Pfeiffer's performance, but Julie Newmar is the original. Kai Wynn, she really gets under your skin. Missy Doctor Who, Ursula Little Mermaid. Yzma Emperor's New Grove. Kai Wynn Deep Space Nine. Skylar White. That bitch. Wasn't a villain. But for sure wasn't anything less than that. Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Kate Blanchett can get it, and she's hilarious in the role. I'm hesitating between Bellatrix Lestrange Harry Potter and Alpha the Walking Dead. Felicia Pearson, who played Snoop on The Y. She was dangerous, cold and cunning. Miss Hannigan from Annie. Shout out and mad respect to the great Carol Burnett. Dolores Umbridge, so good at being I almost forget Imelda, is a really nice person. I wouldn't complain if anyone brought up Diana from the original V miniseries. Asami Yamazaki from Audition. I saw that movie years ago and still have PTSD. Marla from I Care a Lot. Don't think I've ever hated a character so much. Not a movie, but GLaDOS from Portal 1 has always been a favorite of mine. Harem Sultan in Magnificent Century Turkish movie definitely suggesting. Rita Repulsa for most campiest and Dolores Umbridge for most hateable. Ellen Bennett Harlan Jean Tierney from Leave Her to Heaven 1945. I seem to recall it was agreed that it was Jenny out of Forrest Gump. TV it's Cersei Lannister. Movies it's the other mother from Coraline. Angela Lansbury as Mrs. Eleanor Iselin. In The Manchurian Candidate. I always liked hexadecimal. Chaos will always triumph over order. Amanda Plummer Vadik, the marked woman, just phenomenal. Really. Snoop from The Wire. She was a different level of cold and ruthless. Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction. That movie scared some people. Annie Wilkes, Nurse Ratched. Selena Carr, Michelle Pfeiffer. Terrifying Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest. No Why Hangers. Regina, Evil Queen from Once Upon a Time. She was ruthless. That horrible bitch from Last American Virgin, just brutal. Christine. That car was so scary I never saw the whole movie. I liked Ferguson in the Wentworth series, creepy as sadist. Lilla Morgan and Drusilla from the Buffyverse were standouts. Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. No other valid answer. A lot of good ones in this thread. Carrie White's mother. Callisto from Xena. Absolutely batshit crazy, loved her. Azula from Avatar The Last Airbender is pretty great. Thelma Dickinson. Elizabeth Jennings. Nicole Wallace. The Alpha Raptor aka the Big One from Jurassic Park. The chick from Gone Girl 100. Then Dolores Umbridge. Sharon Stone. Basic Instinct, you fucking know why.